Split head is a flagged term. Entity number 500, split head. There are 3 symbols, a smiley face, a star, and an X. First, we click on the smiley face. Entity number 500, split head. Quote, St. Anthony said, in his solitude, he sometimes encountered devils who looked like angels, and other times he found angels who looked like devils. When asked how he could tell the difference, the saint said that you can only tell which is which by the way you feel after the creature has left your company. Unquote. Elizabeth Gilbert. The skies at sea are rarely joyful. They instead show themselves in a darkened state, in which they seem to weep onto those who dare traverse its domain. In attempts to draw us away, they shoot down torrents of water, flooding and sinking our puny vessels, proving to us time and time again how much of a danger our own home presented to us. Rain is a seafarer's worst enemy, and, at times, our greatest savior. It shoves us down with the wrath of a god, only to sustain us longer by providing us the water of which we humans so desperately need. Maybe we're taking what we're given for granted. Maybe we're only seeing the byproducts of its attacks as gifts to hide ourselves from the true nature of this world, a nature which beckons us ever so lovingly, enticing us to come closer and rest, only to strike at us once it finds us the most vulnerable. A familiar voice breaks me from my trance. Oi, split head! Get yourself out of the deck. You've been stargazing enough. It's pissin' rain out here. Oh, sorry, I'll be there in a sec. I scream to her over the rain. Splithead sure knows how to take me out of the moment. I take a quick second to look around me. I really had been out of it. Rainfall was all around me, coming down to the ground quickly as it splattered on the ground heavily. On the ship's deck, random pieces of equipment on the ground were being thrown around by the roaring winds. I take a few steps forward but stumble a bit. It was rougher than I thought out here. I lay my weight over onto the railing and make my way to the cabin, pulling myself there bit by bit. I get myself inside and slam the door behind me, water dripping off my body and getting all over the floor. The cabin, despite not being much, is surprisingly comfy. Just a small room, 2 plastic benches, a couple posters, which were too weathered for me to even make out their original design, hung up lazily on the wall, a chest with various items, and a decently sized cooler over on the far right side of the room where we kept all of our drinks, mainly monsters and ginger ales. Upon hearing my entry, Splithead pops up from the bench. Hey, the man of the hour. Was getting worried about you out there. Come over here. I'll get a towel on you. I hobble over to him. That'd be nice, man. He reaches into the chest and grabs a couple of towels, wrapping them around me like I was his son that has just gotten out of the pool. Splithead was sweet like that. Splithead, on the other hand, was slumped over on the bench. Typical. The warmth of the towels was good. It's not really something I think about, but I miss heat so much. It's not something very present on seas. Instead, I'm only met by the frigid cold. I'd love to just lay down next to a nice, warm fire. My only substitutes are towels and hoodies. I waltz over to the bench and fall over onto it. Exhaustion washes over my body. I roll over to face the ceiling as Splithead begins speaking to me. What kept you out there so long? Splithead! You had another daydream? Splithead? Asks mockingly. For your information, I was actually pondering the secrets of this universe. Ever heard of meditation? I mumble, speaking out each singular syllable in a joking manner. Ah, of course. You truly are the next Gandhi, aren't you? Don't let me keep you up, though. That surely must be draining for you. Night. Despite knowing that Splithead is just messing with me, letting me sleep is very much appreciated. I let my mind wander as I drift off into unconsciousness, toying with various ideas in my head, until I think of something that would be interesting enough for me to wonder about until I fall asleep. But that act itself lulls me into slumber. Area of occurrence, level alpha, no data currently available. Date of occurrence, 11/21/18. Number found dead, 89. Area found, shoreline located in the southernmost area. Cause of death, splitting caused in the frontal bone, skull, that was left unattended. Supposed reason for death, unidentified phenomenon that occurred within the sea of the level. Additional details. The Meg advises to stay away from the coast whilst in level alpha. Despite this, several more corpses wash up on the shore. At the bottom of the page, there is a string of letters and numbers. O82JD, followed by a 1 in parentheses. Lulls me into slumber. We now return to the original page with the 3 symbols. We now click on the symbol of the star. Entity number 500, split head. Quote, I have need of angels. Enough hell has swallowed me for too many years. But finally, understand this. I have burned up 100,000 human lives already from the strength of my pain. Unquote. Antonin Artaud. I awoke with an animalistic fear that took over my body. I looked around. No immediate threat was present, but something was off. Split head and split head were nowhere to be found. The cooler was on its side, spilling its contents onto the floor. The door, located on the south side of the room, was wide open. The posters, which previously had been on the walls, were now scattered over the floor in an oddly coordinated pattern, the shape of a star. The room was baked in an unnaturally bright light. It was coming from outside. I tumble off the bench and onto the floor. Then exhaustion washed over me. I feel weak, drained of energy. I start to crawl towards the open door. Past the doorway I see Splithead's body sustained in the air, her head split open, revealing a strange light from it. Splithead was below her. His head was split as well, though it lacked a light. I crawled over to them in a panicked frenzy. Despite my fatigue, I forced myself to get up and stand on my legs. I slowly moved my hands over Splithead's face. Cold, just as I had feared. I considered crying, curling up on the floor, losing hope. But I knew that would accomplish nothing. I didn't even dare to check on Splithead. I feared of what I may find out. Instead, I peered into the crack on Splithead's head, maybe to gain insight on what was happening, maybe out of sheer curiosity. What I saw back was fear. Pure, raw, primal fear. Not something that took a solid form. Instead, it spread throughout my mind like an infection, choosing what parts of my mind to ruin in a cold, methodical fashion. All in a second. I reeled back due to this, stumbled backwards, almost falling, and, as I do, I make contact with something solid. I jump away from its touch and turn back to face it. It was huge. A bulbous mass of flesh and a seemingly random assortment of teeth. It contorted and shifted its shape violently. It was the blight. Note, see Entity 15, wretches. It was the abomination. Note, see Entity 5, clumps. The liar. Note, see Entity 42, the memory wearum. The light. Note, see Entity 79, wanderers. Until it coalesced into a solid form, a mass of light centered onto one point, gleaming tentacles extending out from it. What are you? Was all I could manage out. It responded with a brutally cold voice. The absurd. The sound of it stilled me. I couldn't find the will to move. Its tendrils found their way across my body, holding me with a thoughtful grasp. As it did, a small wisp made its way out of its body and slowly moved towards my head. And, as it made contact with my forehead, I felt the splitting. At the bottom of the page, there is a string of letters and numbers, 5, F, M, 9, 2, followed by a 2 in parentheses. The splitting. We return to the original page with the 3 symbols. We now click on the symbol of the X. Entity number 500, split head. Connection found. 2 networks identified. 1 Kingsblood. Connection strong. 2 Killstop. Connection weak. Attempting connection with King's Blood. Connection initialized. pend_olum.odp located. Opening. Quote, I think the devil doesn't exist, but man has created him. He has created him in his own image and likeness. Unquote. Fyodor Dostoevsky. No image caption available. Several months ago, without much information being released to the public, though many discoveries are made by a few core meg agents sent to explore the sea of the level, one such agent, of whom shows the most importance in this event, was Mariana Lane. Mariana wasn't a stranger to the Meg. She had many experiences with them, but she was always on the outside. Despite her many attempts, she could never find her place there. So, she mainly served as one of the agents who solely handled the more mundane aspects of their operations, whether that be delivering papers to other more important agents, or simply cataloging a specific level's weather patterns over a couple of days. One may find it boring, but she was grateful to be of use. Before she was sent to level Alpha, she found herself within level 654. No data currently available. At this time, she was just sitting on a beach. her back leaning against the wall. She was exhausted, tasked with supplying her colleagues with coffee. She had been going all over the level, going from office to office, providing them the beverages without much acknowledgement on their part. As she was slumped against the wall, she tried her best to doze off for a second. Her tiredness far outweighed how embarrassed she would feel if someone were to come in. She looked up at the split head, a smile growing across her face, and says, "Why not?" 4. Errors found. Split head encountered at data lost. Connection lost. King's blood. Cannot display split head. System shutdown will occur in 999 seconds if credentials are not inputted. Attempting to reinitialize. Loading. 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 King's blood. Network has been identified. Connection weak. King's blood. Hamilton's equations have another advantage over Lagrange's equations. If a system has a symmetry so that some coordinate, QQ subscript I, does not occur in the Hamiltonian, i.e. a cyclical coordinate, the corresponding momentum coordinate, P subscript I, is conserved along each trajectory, and that coordinate can be reduced to a constant in the other equations of the set. This effectively reduces the problem from n coordinates to n-1 coordinates. This is the basis of symplectic reduction in geometry. In the Lagrangian framework, the conservation of movement also follows immediately. However, all the generalized velocities, q asterisk subscript I, still occur in the Lagrangian, and a system of equations in n coordinates still has to be solved. Hamilton's equations usually do not reduce the difficulty of finding explicit solutions, but important theoretical results can be derived from them because coordinates and momenta are independent variables with nearly symmetric roles. Wikipedia, the free encyclopedia. No image caption available. Mariana hates the ocean. Above the surface, it's nothing less than chaotic. The waves pound against the coast as a devious storm brews overhead, threatening complete annihilation. Unfortunately, she was one of the divers in Level Alpha. She's never been diving, however, never even been to the ocean. Her fellow Meg agents found it annoying to try and teach her. She would start screaming and flailing about whenever she went into any body of water that was too deep to see the bottom of. However, despite her fears, she was willing to learn. Flailing about was just part of her process. Connection compromised, forcing Ascension.odp launch. Opening page. Individuals who have witnessed the following document have been known to perform metaphysical ascension upon coming into contact with another human. By accessing the following document, you acknowledge the possibility of your ascension. Ascension is a newly discovered phenomenon that occurs whenever written documents of the washed-up corpses present in Level Alpha are viewed by a human. The exact causation of this phenomenon isn't currently a topic that is very well known, due to how recently this was observed. Until definite prevention for this phenomenon can be found, access to Level Alpha has been restricted as of 07/21/19. The process of ascension, as its name suggests, involves an individual rapidly rising into the sky, if present, causing them to suffer high-altitude pulmonary edema, leading to their death. Once they have expired, their body will fall back to the ground at extreme speeds, splattering against the ground, and being injury-inducing for anyone close to the area of impact. Image caption, Ascension taking place. Note, see the Wikipedia article, Three-Body Problem. For ascension to occur, information on the corpses in Level Alpha must be recorded in some form, whether that be digitally or printed. This phenomenon will not take place on the individual who produces this text until after they have finished the document. However, leaving it purposefully unfinished seems to trigger the phenomenon as well. Ascension will also have mild effects to the document that it is prompted by, such as, but not limited to, shifting characters into exclamation marks, causing the text to be unreadable, sudden font changes that may, at times, make the entry unreadable, degradation of its physical host, present both digitally and printed, editing of any images to make them appear as though they were made in the 1800s, twisting of terms originally used to make the deceased individuals seem more welcoming. When an individual views the document, the effects of ascension will fully take hold. The afflicted person will first begin to act erratically and uncharacteristically of their normal self, typically emotionally closing themselves out from others and ceasing contact with the closest people in their lives. Once this has taken place, the victims will then experience heavy mental manipulation, which causes them to feel intense paranoia and experience temporary lapses of consciousness. They may act aggressively, or lash out at any nearby objects within their place of dwelling, doing so with unnatural strength that will heighten the damage they cause. There is also a possibility that they will instead retreat mentally and consult the depths of their own mind, conversing with various religious figures that only exist in their own mind. The next eventual stage will lead them to attempt to find any human beings they can, whether this be out of anger with what's been done to them, or purely out of necessity to preserve their own psyche. They will wander in silent determination until they find someone. Once they do manage to make contact with another individual, the previously mentioned steps will occur. Currently, no concrete methods of saving those fated for Ascension has been found. Certain death awaits them. As of now, 22,592 individuals have been subject to its effects due to a mass posting event of the Meg entry with malicious intent. The page was only able to be taken down by a solitary Meg agent approximately 84 hours after being posted. The ego is the organized part of the personality structure that includes defensive, perceptual, intellectual, cognitive, and executive functions. Conscious awareness resides in the ego, although not all of the operations of the ego are conscious. Originally, Freud used the word ego to mean a sense of self, but later revised it to mean a set of psychic functions such as judgment, tolerance, reality testing, control, planning, defense, synthesis of information, intellectual functioning, and memory. The ego separates out what is real. It helps us to organize our thoughts and make sense of them and the world around us. Wikipedia, the free encyclopedia. No image caption available. The seabed was in a silent, frozen state. There were no fish, no vegetation, not even any identifiable rocks. There was just the solemn, colorless expanse of sand. Mariana found peace down here. It gave her a sense of knowledge, in a way. She wasn't someone who has previously made contact with the ocean. She was born in level 205, the Grove of Clones, before getting involved in all of this, only going to level 654, no data currently available, relatively recently. Under the structure of the ocean, though, she gained insight on something she hadn't known before. It was hard to describe the emotion when she was down here, something in the middle of tranquility and paranoia, but it was nonetheless welcoming. She felt as though she had been ignorant before coming here. How should one have knowledge of the heavenly things above if one knows not what is beneath one's feet? She was wearing smooth and glossy diving gear, a little bit worn in, but not enough to be bothersome. The tank on her back weighs her down, reminding her that she couldn't be down here forever. She checked the oxygen meter on her waist. It was 1/8 of the way finished. She had 15 minutes left, give or take. She was just preparing her ascent when something caught her eye. A hole in the seabed. Not too big, just about 4 feet in diameter. But this was an exciting discovery. The only other thing she had found underwater was a discarded piece of unidentifiable plastic. She would have never thought she would find an actual trench, so her curiosity got the better of her. She figured it'd take maybe 3 minutes to check it out, and she'd be able to successfully go back to her ship overhead with time to spare. She swam over there quickly and stared into the pit. The abyss met her gaze. This was promising. Her diving suit's light was broken, but she felt compelled to enter. What was going to stop her? She'd be able to go in for 7 minutes, come back out for another 7 minutes, a perfect, bite-sized adventure for her to go on. She moved her hand over the rim of the chasm, gripping it and feeling hard rock beneath the top layer of sand. She moved her body over into it and allowed herself to fall into the hole. The bright surface above gives way to the ever-growing, black, inky void. But then, once light is no longer visible, the scene around her shifts and changes. Maria sees what looks to be the cabin of an antique pirate ship. It's cluttered with stray pieces of metal, rickety wooden tables and chairs, and the fur of random animals. In front of her, sitting on a barrel, is, what she can only assume to be, a pirate, a jug of ale in his right hand. His head was non-existent, instead replaced by a bright ball of energy. With his left hand, he gestured slightly towards her, pointing from her head to his own. A silent voice was heard all around Mariana, not coming from a single point. It whispered, "In a single moment, Mariana felt the agony, the suffering, and the misery of a world without a psyche so intensely." These words brought onto her feelings of silent curiosity that pulled her towards this intriguing figure. Slowly walking towards him, she holds her hand out and rests it on the sphere of light. But, to her surprise, it's not a solid object. Her hand makes her way into it. Her form sheds away. It begins at the fingertips, the point of first contact, slowly transforming her skin into beads of light, falling upwards towards the ceiling, her bones disintegrating into ribbons of mist. It spread rapidly up her arm and throughout the rest of her body. She attempts to scream, but her voice box was eradicated before she could do so. Mariana felt no pain, only fear. As the transformation spread to her eyes, she found her surroundings around her changing. The wood spiraled into white light, and the furniture around her faded out of existence. One by one, she saw pale, emaciated human bodies rise from the white light and stand in a uniform posture, standing up, body rigid, all facing behind her. She turned to look as well and saw a jellyfish pulsing with blue lights as it extended its tentacles out to different specific figures. As the tentacles made contact with the bodies, they dropped to the ground, limp. Eventually, one by one, the jellyfish made their way through all the bodies and forced each one to fall to the ground. Finally, the jellyfish made its way to Mariana. It wrapped a single tentacle around her figure, tightening its grip around her neck. All her knowledge was drained from her in an instant. Her mind was completely obliterated, and she was left as a hollow shell. She fell to the ground in silent anguish, not even being able to comprehend the despair that was bequeathed to her. The ego is dead. The ego remains dead, and we have killed it. How shall we comfort ourselves, the murderers of all murderers? What was the holiest and mightiest of all that the world has yet owed has bled to death under our knives? Who will wipe this blood off us? What water is there for us to clean ourselves? Psyche death occurring. Your ego's composition is degrading rapidly. Your subconscious cannot remain stable for much longer. Abandon split head? Yes or no? At the bottom of the page, there is a series of letters and numbers. YNM02. Followed by a 3 in parentheses. No. Error processing request. Yes. We return to the original page with the 3 symbols. At the bottom of the page, after the 3 symbols, there is a text box. It allows us to insert credentials to openangel.txt. We input some incorrect answer into the text box and click openangel.txt. We get the following message: incorrect input, 999 more attempts remaining. But then, we remember something. At the bottom of each of the 3 pages, linked by each of the 3 symbols, was a series of letters and numbers, followed by a number in parentheses, going from 1 to 3, respective to the order of the pages. If we put these 3 strings of letters and numbers together into a single string based on the order of the numbers in the parentheses, we get a full password: O82JD5FM92YNM02. We type this password into the text box in full, and then click openangel.txt. It opens a new page. Entity number 500, Split Head, Habitat, Level Alpha, no data currently available, Omnipresent, Hazard Level, Tempestuous, Shared Properties. Entity number 500 refers to a system of interconnected creatures, phenomena, and environments which share many similar characteristics which define anything within this specific type of categorization. Typically, all of the items within this category are titled either Split Head, or Split Head, depending on how grounded they are in reality, their corpo-reality being categorized from greatest to least when previously mentioned. Image caption: the Split Head found within level Alpha. Split Heads. Split Heads refers to the quote-unquote hosts who contain split heads and specific types of split head. These hosts take on a physical form, usually with the appearance of a humanoid, and serve as a gateway into the split head. Research regarding split heads is difficult to actually extract due to how limited contact with them can be. Individuals who have managed to communicate with it seem to have been picked completely at random. It is currently theorized that split heads only exist in specific rooms that they control entry to. Split heads? Split heads refer to multiple different entities that all have extremely similar properties. Environmental split heads seem to hold a limitless amount of space within them that is filled only by the creatures that have managed to stumble within it, and an unbearably bright light. Despite the entity forming a present location, it is theorized to be made up of an organic substance based on accounts of those sent here. There are rare times in which small, quote-unquote, windows can be found whilst inside the entity, which show you a space within the backrooms and can allow you to exit the split head. Due to this, it is currently theorized that the entity exists throughout the entirety of the backrooms. Split heads are also able to form humanoid shapes for brief periods of time, hinting at possible sentience. Humanoid split heads cannot remain in their state for longer than 3 minutes at a time, though are able to audibly communicate with individuals around it. They've been described as being extremely calm and reasonable, giving wanderers who make contact with them feelings of uneasiness. Split head! Currently, only a single split head has been found, though information surrounding the entity is very unreliable due to limited contact with it being made. Visually, it appears as a jellyfish, composed of pure light, with tentacles extending outwards that trigger rapid mental degradation to a wanderer when contact between them is made. After 15 minutes of time have allotted, the individual affected will suddenly experience splitting within the frontal portion of their skull, causing their death. This entity is believed to have killed 89 wanderers within level Alpha. Any documented information surrounding the deaths will cause those who read it to perish. See Ascension.odp for more information regarding this subject. 25. Errors have been found. Split head is a flagged term and cannot be used within this page. Your account has been suspended for suspicious information. If you believe this to be an incorrect suspension, please contact your closest MEG agent, and they will resolve the issue accordingly. Please exit the page.